And we're back with week 4 of the Under the Radar matchups in 2018. Of course, we're looking at those matchups that don't involve the elite teams. These are teams that could surprise in 2018, or they're just really good, fun matchups that could be exciting games. All right, I've knocked out the top 10 non-conference games. Please check out that video and leave your comments. And, of course, leave the comments to any of the content here, whether you agree or disagree. This is week 4. Okay, we've obviously ran through the other weeks, and please check out those videos as well. We got Florida Atlantic. So this has to be just unbelievable that we would have never thought that we would be talking about Florida Atlantic and all their non-conference games. We talked about the Oklahoma game, of course, in week 1. They take on Air Force, kind of a trap-type game in week 2. And now here in week 3, Florida Atlantic and Central Florida. It's not just Florida State, Miami, and Florida that own the Sunshine State. Of course, we've got Central Florida and South Florida, the two great group of 5 programs over the past few years. And now we've got Florida Atlantic coming off a Conference USA championship and much hype about Lane Kiffin staying there with FAU. So this is a group of 5 showdown, FAU at Central Florida, week 4. Week 4 also brings us Northern Illinois at Florida State. I include this game not to say that this is going to be an extremely competitive game, although it could be, because Florida State's not back to being Florida State most likely, and Northern Illinois is one of the top teams in the MAC. But just to highlight Northern Illinois' out-of-conference schedule, Iowa, Utah, Florida State. Iowa, Utah, and Florida State. There's nobody in the Power 5 that plays that kind of out-of-conference schedule. So it's NIU at FSU in week 4. Notre Dame at Wake Forest. Again, the Irish have bigger opponents on the schedule, but they can't look past a Vandy team that we talked about in the week 3 video, but also this one at Wake Forest. It was a shootout last year that Notre Dame generally dominated the game. Wake Forest made a late run in the game to make it close on the scoreboard. This time, the Irish have to go to Winston-Salem. So something to look out for here concerning Wake Forest football. John Wolford, their 4-year starter, has moved on to the NFL, probably going to hook up with the team. So his backup quarterback, the running quarterback, Kendall Hinton, who has appeared in 17 games despite just starting 3. Well, he's suspended for the first 3 weeks of the season. So this is going to be his first action. And for Wake Forest, in the first 3 games of the season, coming off a nice 8-5 campaign, they're either going to go with a redshirt sophomore in Jamie Newman, who threw all of 4 passes last year and was picked off once, or freshman Sam Hartman, the 3-star, according to 247 Sports, as a true freshman. Wake Forest hosting Notre Dame in week 4. Louisiana Tech at LSU. Yes, probably won't be competitive, but ever since Troy did what Troy did in Death Valley, got to include this one, possibly Louisiana Tech and Sonny Dykes at LSU. And finally, I would say West Virginia, NC State would be my favorite of the under-the-radar games. I really love Michigan State, Arizona State on the road in Tempe. Mississippi State, Kansas State's a really good one. And just to make things interesting, the Florida Atlantic Oklahoma game, yes, it could be a blowout, but to see if FAU can hang in Norman, those games jump out at me, but I really like this one as well. Boston College, Purdue, who would have thought at this point last year that we would be talking about this being an under-the-radar, really good game. But Boston College coming off a nice season. A.J. Dillon, considered the best back in the ACC. They've got their quarterback back in A.J. Brown taking on Purdue. And, of course, Jeff Brom is building a program there in West Lafayette. Boston College at Purdue, week 4. And wrapping up those week 4 under-the-radar games. Would love to hear what you think about our selections and maybe some games that we missed along the way. Of course, these are not the elite teams. We did that earlier, top 10 non-conference games, but some of the under-the-radar matchups that could be really fun early season college football. Please subscribe right here at Mark Rogers TV.